Dicey Peaks, a game about climbing mountains. Each player controls a climber. You roll dice. This is a push-your-luck dice-based game, and you try to advance on the mountain as fast as possible, but not too fast, so you don't die for lack of oxygen. A game about climbing a mountain in which finally, yes, there are Yetis. Yay! We need more of these in mountain games. However, there is something strange and to me a little disappointing. These Yetis don't eat anybody. Vegetarian Yetis. Waited so long to have a Yeti in the game and then they eat tofu or something. Worse, they are sort of like motivational speakers. Yes, the Yetis help you go faster. You're scared of them and that makes people go faster, so actually gives them an advantage. Weird. Anyways, let's talk about the game. This is the mountain. You build it at the beginning of the game using these tiles. Not all of them are used in each game, so there's a little bit of variety. On the other side of the tiles, you have different effects, or in some cases, no effect. So you place them in this combination here with 6 level 6 tiles at the bottom, then 5, 4, and 3. They work in slightly different ways, but you have to think of the mountain as a multi-layered cake. The players start from here with a pawn representing their character. They will move on the first layer. When they get here and they move past, they teleport to the opposite side of the next layer, and so on and so forth, until you get to this area. And when you get here, you flip the tile, and hooray, if you find the flag, you win the game. If you don't find the flags, I went all the way up there and you don't find the flag, my turn is over for now, and I may try again next turn, unless I die, in which case I'm out of the game. And in a two-player game, you can see what that means. It means that the other player can prepare and take all the time that they want to store a lot of oxygen and then look at the other tiles and win the game. Right there, I can already anticipate something of my conclusions, which is I don't like the victory conditions. They're too random. They feel like, to me, like they may rob the player that had the best strategy. They may make all that happen before the last move a little trivial, and to me that is a non-inconsiderable problem. But one thing at a time. So you have your climber here, then you will have a play array such as that one. You will place your oxygen marker on top of that track here, and represents the level of oxygen that you have. When it goes down to 0, you're not dead yet. It just means that the next turn you need to rest to accumulate oxygen. But you cannot do that when you are on top of the mountain, which is why if you are out of oxygen on one of those 3 tiles, you are out of the game because you cannot move further and you lost the game. So the marker will go up and down. In general, you spend oxygen to climb, and then you will need to rest to replenish your oxygen, and that's the key idea. And also here you have a very effective, very nice player aid. Now, when it is your turn, you will take 5 of these dice. Any combination from this pool of dice. There are 3 types and they are different distributions of icons. I like this a lot. The ice dice have the best chance to let you climb. The dark blue ones have the best chance of allowing you to rest. The light blue sort of like in between. So at the beginning of the game, I want to climb because I have my oxygen full. So I'm going to get a lot of these dice and one of these dice, and I'm going to roll them. Later in the game, maybe I don't want to climb too much because I don't want to exert myself too much. Then even if I climb in a game, maybe a combination of these ones plus some other ones, because you have to roll 5 at the beginning. So sometimes you roll dice that do not give you the best chance of getting a lot of what you're trying to get, because again, you don't want to overdo things for reasons that you will see. You roll dice, and after you roll them, you look at the result, and then after that roll, you declare what you're going to attempt. You may attempt to climb or to rest. After you declare that thing, then things move in different ways, because you will set aside certain dice and will be able to roll certain other ones depending on what you're attempting to do. When you're trying to climb, you will set aside pickaxe symbols and avalanches. Also, you always set aside Yeti paws. If you're trying to rest, you will set aside tents and Yeti paws. So yes, I wanna climb. So I'm setting aside these two, and I'm good. And then I can decide to reroll. When you reroll, you pick up any 3 dice from the ones that have not been set aside. And say I decide then to, well, those I like those two, and I roll them. And I rolled a Yeti paw, so I had to set that aside. I had 2 pickaxes. That was lucky. And I decide that I'm happy as I am. So you re-roll the ones that haven't been set aside. Suppose that I also had rolled these 2 at some point, so those were there. So once you're done, if you didn't go bust, you can move or rest depending on what you were trying to do. You may go bust. You go bust if you were trying to climb and you get 3 avalanches, and you go bust if you're trying to rest and you get 3 Yeti paws. If you did not go bust, if you're trying to climb, you advance by 1 space for each pickaxe that you have. 1, 2, 3, 4 in my case, and you consume oxygen accordingly. 1, 2, 3, 4. By the way, you may also go bust if you're trying to climb if you roll more than the oxygen that you still have. That is, if when you decrease your oxygen, you will go under 0. If I'm here right now and I roll 6 pickaxes, then I will go bust because I only have 5 points of oxygen, which is why sometimes I want to climb, but I don't want to climb too much. If I'm trying to rest, then I will replane oxygen, and I replay oxygen, 1 point of oxygen for each tent that I get. Unless I go bust, which may happen if, again, I have 3 Yeti paws, or if I roll so much oxygen that it would exceed my limit. So if I'm here, if I'm here at 6 oxygen, I roll to rest and I get 4 points of oxygen. That will bring me to 10. That's too much. I also go bust. So once the thing starts moving, you need to make sure that you don't go under 0 or above 9. It is even okay to go exactly down to 0 as long as you're not on top, because then you can still replenish your oxygen. By the way, when you are resting, also you must not you won't be able to recover more oxygen than the number of the level you're at. So if I'm level 4 and I roll 5 oxygens, even if I would not go bust, I still get only 4 because I'm level 4. Here you can only recover 3 levels of oxygen. So I really like this, that there are busting opportunities both on the low and on the high end. There is no certainty there, so you need to carefully budget the chances, your odds in the manipulation of the types of dice that you roll, of course also how many times you re-roll. When you're moving, if you land on a tile that was not revealed yet, you flip it face up, and sometimes there is no effect. If there is an effect, then you simply resolve that effect. And here you have, at the end of the rule sheet, you have an explanation of what the effects are. I talked about the Yeti as the great motivators. If you are ahead of other people, and if you're ahead of other people, and you roll the Yeti paws, doesn't matter how, when, how many, then the Yetis have been sighted. Everybody's scared but you. Somehow you're the one that saw them, but you are just made of iron. When you see the other people hear about them, they get scared, and so they advance by one spot. That is, if a player is ahead of other people and rolls Yeti paws, everybody who is behind advances by 1 spot. And that's a catch-up mechanism, but I like catch-up mechanisms usually. I'm gonna make an exception. In this case, I don't like it all that much because it is too powerful. Catch-up mechanisms should allow us to reduce the distance with a runaway leader, but here I go ahead by a little bit, and then other people get almost there, then this player goes here next turn, and then everybody, and then rolls again, and everybody advances. It just makes the pack a little too tight. It's a little too effective. And again, by keeping the pack too close, then it opens the possibility of somebody having a particularly good roll and going ahead by much. I don't have so much of that sense, so like I'm building my lead gradually, and if I have a good lead, catch-up mechanics may reduce it, but it should not do it all that much, in my very humble opinion. The point, again, is continue like this, resting, climbing, occasionally going bust, until you get here, as close as possible to the top, with possibly a lot of oxygen, and then you go there, and again, you try your luck. And this player went there. Nope, not the right one. Then the next player goes there. Nope, still not. Well, guess what? The player that is third is gonna win the game automatically. I guess there's a little bit of trade-off there. If I get there first, I am the first one to have a chance, but I only a 33% chance of getting it. If I get there second, well, if still victory hasn't been claimed, I have 50% chance. But really, that is just something that I really, really do not like. That's how you play. I think pretty much I gave you the basics for how it plays. As for my general opinions, I like the general mechanic of rolling different types of dice a lot. I like it a lot. I like, in general, pusher luck games. You should know that if you see some of my reviews. But I like different game effects that you roll. It's not just in your Yahtzee. You roll different things, and they do different things. This is great. This is great. I, however, feel that this great idea, which I hope to see in many more games, has not been developed to its full potential by a game that has a catch-up mechanic that I really don't like. It seems too much. I get too much the sense of like freeloaders following you, and that's easily fixed, which is how we did it. I don't use it. I simply don't play with that catch-up mechanic. But the biggest thing is this one. Yes, it's only one problem, which is victory condition. But of course, victory conditions is one of the most important elements in the game. I like the game in general. The victory condition to me needs to be fixed. With this victory condition, the game gives me very little incentive to play at all. I almost feel like, you want to play Dicey Peak? Perfect, let's play a variant. You choose one of those face down, I choose another one. If you found the flag, you win. If I don't find the flag, if I find the flag, I win. That's it. We skip everything else, and we have more time. We go out and drink a beer or Tibetan tea, which is maybe more thematically appropriate. It just, to me, trivializes the previous element of the game. Handing sometimes victory to a player, to the last player. That is not how it should work to me. It's only one problem, but it is enough to me to pretty much make the game uninteresting, and I'm sorry to get harsh. Again, I'm happy that I assume it's easily fixed. Just somebody tell me what it could be done. Maybe a way simply forget about the whole flag thing. We put that on top. We even put this face up, and that's it. First player to get there wins, and maybe that's the way it should be done. As is, I'm not particularly happy with it. I like the general idea. I think it needs a couple of tweaks. I like the mechanic a lot. Fix it a little bit, polish it a bit more. I think we have a great game. As is, it is not a bad game. It's not a bad game. As a family game, it's simple. It's easy to teach. It's easy to play. I would not play it with more than 3 players. So the box says it goes to 6. I would not go above. As a 2-player game is fine enough, and sometimes I'll say, oh no, there's a bit of downtime with 2 players. I can't imagine with 6, because a player may roll and then re-roll, and they can getting results that are not set aside one way or the other, and so they keep re-rolling, and then they do their stuff and perform an extra thing because of the effect. The downtime was fine with 2 players. So with 3 players, I assume it's okay. Above that, then I don't want to play. I just don't want to play because there really isn't much that you can do. Yes, oh well, they rolled a Yeti, so I'm gonna move one. But it's not like I really want to pay attention because that alters my strategy. This is something that I'm not making any decision about. It's still automatic, so there's no really any reason to be engaged between turns. With more than 3 players, then I think that the problem of downtime outweighs the advantages, the benefits of the game. So a low count of players and with a couple of tweaks, it can be an entertaining family game. As is, I'm not particularly enthusiastic about, because the game as is, again, has the good things are good, but then there are flaws that just prevent this to be much better, and I think it could be better. And definitely I hope to see this general DICE idea applied to other games in the future.